into my world. Won't you come on in?
Hej, mit navn det er Stig Ulrichsen, og welcome to my world. I denne uge har jeg fået besøg af en sangerinde. Hun har taget vejen helt nede fra Tjekkiet af. Hun spiller med i flere forskellige bands. Blandt andet Non-Stop, som vi skal opleve her på Randers Country Festival den 29. juni. Her er hun forsanger. Hun synger også størstedelen af sangene måske i det band, der hedder Western Girls, og det skal vi også tale lidt om, specielt da to af pigerne, der oprindeligt er tjekkere, bor her i Randers. Men i første omgang lad os tage en snak med Wendy og kalde jer andre ind undervejs. Wendy, welcome to Denmark and Randers.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
And you have actually been here many times through years. Do you remember the first time you came here?
Oh, the first time it was 2004. So that's 15 years. That's a long time
ago. You don't look
ago.
that old.
Well, thank you, Stig. Thank you.
Yeah. And the reason is because you in the old days played in a band, traveled all over Europe actually to play, and also Canada and other places.
Yes, yeah, we've been all over the place. Greenland, Canada, France, Switzerland, Denmark, Belgium, Holland, many. And Canada was one of those overseas too.
Are you a little bit of a traveler?
Well, I've traveled a lot before I even started playing with the bands. And I used to live in US actually for 7 years. So that's when I really tasted the actual real country music, and it touched my heart, and I got stuck to it, and I've been faithful to it ever since.
Yeah. In which state did you live in America?
Well, I lived in Utah, in Idaho, I lived in Hawaii, and traveled to through California, and then I stayed in Florida. So yeah, all over. I visited Alaska too.
And country is big, all places.
Country is mainly up at the west, but yeah, U.S. is just full of country. It's a popular music there. So.
What kind of country was it that attached you? What kind of country do you love listening to? Was it Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, or was
those evergreen musicians, yeah, such as Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, and Willie Nelson, and Bellamy Brothers, of course, and Susie Bogus, and Tanya Tucker, and all these. Of course, Dixie Chicks were big at that time. Eventually, a little later, but. Yeah, we've listened to those all the time, and I remember driving the highway, just listening to country. Nothing else would fit to that situation, and ever since it's just been my music. Yeah.
And how was it before you left for US? Because how old were you when you traveled to US?
I was only 17.
Only 17. I think there's some songs about that, right?
I was sweet 17, yeah.
But tell me, until you were 17, you must have been listening to some other kind of music.
Yeah, totally different actually. I was one of those, those rocky girls, and I listened to rock music and some metal actually too. But I wasn't very distinguished about what kind of music I listened to. It was all mixture. I listened to REM and ABBA and Metallica at the same time, or Beatles. So I was just kind of discovering the music world, and then everything seemed amazing to me. But somehow, being a farmer girl, the country music felt the most familiar to me, I think. Yeah.
And you started playing music yourself. How old were you when that started?
I was little. I started playing the piano ever since I was about 6 years old, and maybe till up to 15 years old. Then, you get to this age when you want to be rebellious and you don't want to exercise and go to classes every day, which I am very sorry about today, but I got back to playing the piano a little bit again when I was older, but discovered a new instrument, which is accordion, while playing with the Country Sisters, and ever since it's been my instrument. Yeah.
And where did that music interest come from? Are your parents, were they musical interested or?
Yeah, definitely. My dad was a singer. He played in a band, he played the guitar, and my mom, she loved listening to us playing and singing together at home. She would just open the door and she said, "Yeah, don't bother, Mom. Don't be bothered. I'll be cooking something in the kitchen and you just practice." And she was just so happy to hear me singing and him singing, and he played the guitar and I played the piano, and he inspired me. He was such a natural talent. He was the self-learner, but he had this sparkle in his voice, and I felt the excitement about it. So that's probably where it comes from. Yeah.
And they had always been supporting you in your music?
Yes. Although I wasn't aiming to make it as a living, I actually chose the fine arts, which is oil painting and photography and graphic designs. That's where I ended up studying in US. They were surprised. They thought maybe I would probably choose the musical career instead, and I didn't. So I guess it just remained as my hobby.
And then you took off and went to the US or what? After the education and things?
I actually studied in US.
So all the education was in US?
Yeah,
What made you go
my
so
high
far
school,
away?
my last high school year, I already turned to be the high school student in US. And came home for about a year trying to figure out what else can I do rather than going back. I ended up being in Germany for a few months as a babysitter, but I did want to go back and I wanted to study. So I actually ended up going to the university in Idaho. It was the BYU University. At that time, the name of the school was the Ricks College, Idaho. Today, it's the BYU, Idaho. And then I transferred to the BYU, Hawaii, which was the party time of my life. And yeah, I always looked for a band and just played with amateur bands. But Hawaii was that was a funny story about my musical career there. I actually ended up learning all those Hawaiian songs, and I started playing ukulele. And then I got together with those local guys by the fire, and they taught me how to play What a Wonderful World from Is, the big guy that actually ended up being pretty famous for this song 11 years later than I heard it for the first time, because he was the local artist from Hawaii. His name was Is. And the song they played everywhere in Hawaii. It was around 2000. And this song became very famous only after he actually passed away, which was a few years ago. I would say maybe 2014, 15, 16. So it took over 10 to 15 years to actually make him famous. Sometimes you have to die to actually become famous.
It's a hard life being an artist.
It's hard. Well, I'm okay with not being famous, even if if I'm still alive, and if I'm not famous after I die, it's okay too.
Yeah. What made you go back from Hawaii? Everybody was imagined that this would be the dream island to live.
But it was. And let me tell you, there's not a single day ever since I've been back for over 10 years, maybe over 15 years. Back from the first day I came to US. It has been 23 years now. Hawaii, it's a long time ever since I returned. Yeah, there's not a single day I wouldn't remember the time. I dream about it. It is definitely a dream day. It's just like my dad said, all you need to worry about in Hawaii is that a coconut doesn't fall on your head. That's all. What made me come back was definitely the only reason, my family and my love for my parents. So I decided to come back for good and hope to find something exciting that at least allows me to travel a bit, but at the same time remain with my family, which happened to be the career with the Country Sisters, and that was another wonderful and beautiful era of my life.
When did you join the Country Sisters? Was that in 2000?
That was 2004 until 2009, so about 5 years. And yeah, another wonderful traveling time for me, except this time it was literally only because of music as a professional. And yet I was able to come home and live with my family and not feel being so distant from them. So it was perfect.
Yeah, and then you joined the Country Sisters, but it has been a band for 50 years. It has existed, or things like that. How did you get discovered for Country Sisters? How did they find you?
They had a rehearsal, and I signed up for the rehearsal. They were looking for either a singer or a piano player at that time, and also somebody who would speak English. So I happened to be there at the right time, I guess. Yeah.
And you were playing the keyboard at that time, and
I
the
only
accordion
play the
followed.
keyboard,
Yeah.
so yeah, they already had a keyboard player. I had to, so I actually had to pretty quickly learn the accordion to be able to join the band, which I had practiced hard enough to be able to pass that exam, I guess. And 4 months later, I started performing with them. Remember still my first my first concert in 2004. It was in Germany, and I was nervous because all of a sudden all these people taking photographs and taping you, and then they actually clapped and they looked like they liked it. So, but the girls were wonderful, and we enjoyed it so much.
And it must also have been a big difference playing in Country Sisters, because you played a little bit in other bands before that, right? But very often other bands, they just stand still and play the songs. They don't jump around on tables and doing all other kind of things. That must have been something new, right?
It was very new. I was not afraid of being publicized and stand in front of people because I haven't mentioned that yet, but my last career in US was a position called the corporate trainer. I worked for the Carnival Cruise Lines, and I was at the ship, and there were 2 on each of the these big traveling ships. 2 people assigned to train the crew, teach them about the safety and about all these safety issues. And I was taught how to stand in front of public and stand in front of hundreds of people and talk to them, teach them something. So I felt okay with that. The only difference was that I had to have a very short skirt and very high boots and sing and play the instrument at the same time. So to coordinate everything together was quite hard. And I'm sure all the girls could testify the same, that it takes you a lot of time to really feel comfortable with all that and be able to play, sing, dance, and look good at the same time.
It's good. Women can multitask. Men cannot do that. But it was 5 good years for you. And what was the best experience being in Country Sisters for those 5 years? Or is there any special moment you
There were
recall?
so many. Interlaken Trek Festival is one of those peak ones. Merritt Mountain Festival in Canada was definitely an amazing time and experience for me. Playing and performing for people in Greenland, I would never think of. Danish audience was one of the best ones too. They love country music, and playing for Danish people was a special thing for me because they sincerely loved us and they followed us everywhere. So I could not tell what was the most but I probably mention most of them.
Did you ever get tired of all this traveling around? Because one thing is to stand on the stage, which is the shortest time of all. The traveling takes most of the time.
Yes, I was. I admit, I was, and sometimes we would go 1,000 kilometers one day. 2 days later, we would go 1,000 kilometers back. Had 3 days in between, and the same thing happened again. 1,000 kilometers there, 1,000 kilometers back. Now, of course, not mentioning performing in between 4 hours in a row, going till late at night. So, yes, I was tired, even though I was very young. You get exhausted by, imagine you're standing in front of the people for a whole hour, and you know that they're all looking at you this whole time. You cannot, turn around and bend over for something, grab yourself, scratch yourself. You're just not allowed to do that while being on stage. You have to be perfect 100% of the time. It gets very tiring. So
come on everybody, clap your hands. You're looking good. We're gonna sing a song and it won't take long. We're gonna do the twist and it goes like this. Yeah, and round and round and up and down we go again. Baby, make me know you love me so. And then come on, let's twist again, like we did last summer. Yeah, let's twist again. Twisting time is here.
And after 5 years, you decided to quit Country Sisters. And was there something new in your life since you decided to quit? Was it time to become mother?
Of course, another new era came in time, and that was me wanting to have a family and wanting to get married and have children, which is just not possible to remain being a professional performer and traveling. So just as all the other girls, it came my time. I had to say goodbye to those beautiful years and wanted to have a family, which I have now. 3 children and a husband and a business, and I would love to do living by being a musician on, but being a mother is wonderful too. So now it's time for me to be mom. But you don't want to stop doing the music, otherwise you get sick. Just as many other women being moms, they do perform, but only limited time, limited places, limited occasions.
And we should talk a little bit about that in a moment. But first, you actually became a businesswoman because you had your own hotel. Have your own hotel in Czech. Can you tell us a little bit about the idea behind that and the hotel?
Yes, and we as a family bought a large object or a mansion, I would say, and it's a farm and a restaurant and a hotel. It was an unfinished project, let's say, from the original owner who started building it but have not finished it. We bought it, and for many, many years we've been slowly putting it together until we finally open it. So we do have a restaurant farm with 50 horses and a hotel. And it's a family business. We all work there really hard to make it run, and hopefully it's making us happy. But it's just like every other business. It's very time exhausting.
And the customers for the hotel, is that tourists coming to the area, or where's the main?
Mainly tourists, people from the Czech Republic coming for vacation. We have some business people. We do lots of weddings. because we can actually do all the ceremonies there as well. So yeah, all sorts of kinds of events. We also do country festival, and most of our former fan club members from the Country Sisters come to visit us at this festival. Lots of Danish people come also, so we do have international clients as well. Yeah.
And it must also be very unique that you can go to a hotel and you can actually sit in your restaurant watching the horses riding around and things like that. I don't think there's many places like that.
I think this is a very special place. It's nice that you can watch the horses right from the table, and you can sleep and hear them smiling and running around. But it's a peaceful place. I think it's wonderful for everybody who wants to just relax and, of course, has a bit of a love for this animal, the called horse.
And after a little while, after running this hotel, you decided it was time to do a little bit music again, and you started up in a band called Non-Stop. How did you get together with those boys in that band? Because Non-Stop is going to play here in Randers on June 29 in the Country Festival.
Yes. Well, having the kids, like I mentioned, I was trying to figure out what can I do with my music. Find a band, create a band, record a CD, everything together. But so I can say no when I cannot go. That was my major criteria, and I was fortunate to make that kind of agreement with, I think, the best country music band in my region, which is the band called Non-Stop. And those are well-experienced guys that been playing together for over 25 years, and they were nice enough to say, okay, let's have a girl with us and we'll try what it makes with our music. And we've been together ever since 2013. 6 years now, and it's working really well. I think when I am not able to come because of my children, it's okay, but that doesn't happen very often. 95% of the time I attend all the concerts with Non-Stop, and one of them will be also here in Denmark in Randers in June, which we're very happy about.
And what kind of music can we expect to hear with Non-Stop?
Well, we have an amazing harmonica player, so you can expect to hear the very famous musical number from the movie Man with a Harmonica. And we are just typical country. We do play some rock. We play few rock and rolls and ballads, and we do play some Irish music too. But the country music is the basement, really, of the band. We have a guitar player, we have the accordion, of course, and we have mandolin, and we play mostly evergreens: Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Shania Twain, Dixie Chicks.
So all kind of country, can you say?
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to see you and the boys back in town here in June. But you also had time to write songs yourself. When did you start writing songs?
Well, I've been writing text mainly, and I've never had enough guts to write the music. And I did have enough guts to record a CD, but none of those were my cover songs. But I did record a CD, and it was a wonderful experience. And with my band, Non-Stop, we thought, why don't we record a CD together? Not just Wendy, but Non-Stop and Wendy. And I thought, yeah, that's a great idea. We have lots of great songs that are not our cover again. So I thought, why don't I try to finally write a few songs? I did ended up writing a song that it's the cover. She is the cover number of our latest CD. And it's called, in the Czech language, it's called Rouháš se. It's about a girl. I wonder which girl. It's about a girl that touched her happiness many times, and she has not been prepared for a very sad thing coming into her life, which was the death of her parents, and both of them passed away too quickly and too close to each other. So she just didn't know how to handle it, because she's been too happy the whole life, and most of the people that are not prepared for the stress situations, they just don't know how to handle it. This song is about being able to deal with it just the way the strength allows you to. So I try to go deep into myself, and I really wrote it from my heart.
Jak sladká vábení, trpce chutnat směj, nikdo se neptá, a co ty? Jim stačí, co bys myslet měl, jen šlapej dál, nehleď, co prožíváš, snad větru zašeptej, co v sobě ukrýváš. Rouháš se, děvče, ty všechno už máš, co snad si kdy kdo víc přál. Proč jen krok za krokem ty nešlapeš dál? Právě snad to mě tíží spíš, jak málo ty o mě, jak málo ty o mě víš. Vždy je dost sil, víc než myslíš, že máš. Na svý dnoty nikdy nesáhneš, tak odhoď ten svůj snad. Jen šlapej dál a nech ten vítr vát. Rovně stůj a nastav tvář, pak budeš se zasmát. Rouháš se, děvče, ty všechno už máš, co snad si kdy kdo víc přál. Proč jen krok za krokem ty nešlapeš dál? Právě snad to mě tíží spíš, jak málo ty o mě, jak málo ty o mě víš.
Sorry, but time is running out and we do not have any more time to talk this time. But I would like to invite you back in the studio again next week. Will that be okay?
Yes.
Og til jer derude vil jeg gerne sige tusind tak, fordi I kiggede med. Vi kan ikke noget mere i denne her uge, men pigerne har lovet at vende tilbage igen i næste uge, hvor vi skal tale videre om deres karriere og deres nye band Western Girls. Tak fordi I kiggede med.
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in?